guys, it's Claire Manning here and welcome back to my paper craft, card making and watercolouring channel. So today it's Thirsty Thursday, so we've got a full length video for you with a die cutting card and some fussy cutting techniques as well. So I'm going to be using this Waves panel die from our Thirsty brush range, and it comes with an outline die so we can make a panel for our cards to sit behind the die cut if we want to. So ahead of time I've already done that just with some holographic card, and it makes that perfect panel ready to sit on a 5x7. Next I'm going to cut down some card pieces that I'm going to use for that lovely Waves die and to chop into to make some embellishments. So this is from our 12x12 Bellini pack. If you're watching this today, which is the 7th of May 2020, we're going to be doing some amazing deals with these papers on Create and Craft TV on Saturday, so that'll be the 9th, yes, Saturday the 9th of May, and we're going to have a bundle of all our amazing quality papers. They're 200 GSM, they're huge 12x12 pieces and they're uncoated, meaning you can do tons and tons of different techniques with them. So I've picked two designs from the Bellini pack and I'm just chopping down to roughly an A5 size, so I can decide, handle them a little bit more through my die cutting machine. I've only got an A5 one here at the moment, and decide which areas of that piece that I want to use to make my card. So I've kind of chosen one piece of paper with a really big embellishment or a big design of these lovely modern flowers, and then one that's got smaller, but they've both got this kind of lovely corally blue and the creamy colours between them. So just going to decide which one I'm actually going to cut out using the Waves panel die. This die is great because it can be used either way up, depending on where you want, which direction you want your waves to go in. So I want the die cut to show a bit of that blue as well as the oranges and creams, so I've just positioned it here on the top left and holding in place with some low tap tape while I run that through my snap machine. So I do have the A4 machines as well, but as we're still in lockdown at the moment, this is the one I'm using because it's sat on my desk today. So the pieces of that pop out really easily, even though it's such a detailed die. And that's really easy to do, and you've got almost like an instant card panel then. So I'll just show you what that looks like. There we go. So we've got all of those lovely colours showing through, and you can still see all that lovely floral design. So with this piece I want to cut out some areas for like an embellishment. So I'm kind of thinking I want like a flower and maybe one of the leaves coming in over one of the sides. So I'm going to cut this large flower out here, and then a leaf as well to kind of sit underneath. But I want to cut them out separately so I can layer them up exactly and position them exactly where I want. So it's a really nice idea to fussy cut into some papers, as well as just use them for die cutting, backgrounds, box making, that kind of thing. And the kind of big, bold designs and colours that I choose for my papers really allow you to do this. They're not tiny little 1 centimetre repeating designs or anything like that. You really can chop into them. We have got some that are more detailed than others, or some that suit backgrounds more than others, but I really wanted to give you some modern, fresh designs that you'll be able to use some different techniques with. So once we've done this fussy cutting part, it's really going to be a case of picking a sentiment and then putting this card all together. So it really is a nice, quick, easy card to make. You can do it with any panel die or any pattern paper if you haven't got these ones. And you'll notice when I pick the sentiment, I've just stamped it into a circle, but we'll get onto that bit shortly. I really enjoy a little bit of relaxing fussy cutting at some point as well. It can be nice to get an exact element that you want out of a piece of paper. You'll notice as I'm doing it, the quality of these papers and the thickness is really good. I have made small boxes with them as well, without even layering it up onto other cardstock. which shows the kind of quality, but I stamp onto it, I emboss onto it, stencil onto it. I've even done a little bit of watercolouring, but without much water. But you can paint onto them as well, no problem at all. Of course, if you want to use a bigger box, just use it as decoration, so use a heavier weight cardstock, say 300 gram if you're going to use 300 GSM, sorry, if you're going to make a larger box. But then of course you can chop into this paper and still use it to decorate, and it would make some stunning boxes. So just decided on this particular leaf. I'm going to roughly cut round and then chop into a little bit more to get all that detail of the shape of the leaf. And of course I'm not going to throw away the rest of this piece. I'll chop into it and use the rest of this piece of paper maybe in a scraps project. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to my channel. There is multiple videos uploaded every week with card making, watercolouring techniques and a few other crafty bits that I decide to do along the way. And if you hit the bell, it will notify you every time I upload a video. Talking of scraps, most Fridays we do a scraps video where I'm trying to really, during lockdown, get through a lot of my scraps. I had a never-ending collection that just seemed to be growing and growing and growing. So I'm trying to think of lots of ideas. There's a few on the channel already under a playlist, scraps projects. But I'm trying to think of lots and lots of ideas about how we can use up all our scraps and still make stunning cards that don't look as if they've been thrown together from a bunch of scraps. It's still well thought out and look as beautiful as the cards that you plan. So I really like the colour tones of this card. I love all those corals, that kind of teal blue, and then softened with those kind of creamy colours. I think it looks really nice together. And even more so when you kind of layer up different elements of it. It's a really easy way to get a cohesive looking card without having to worry too much about thinking about the colours yourself. By using a couple of different pieces of paper out of one paper stack that we do, you'll know that I've kind of looked into those colours and made sure they all go together for you, so it's not something that you have to consider too much. But of course then you can mix and match these papers with whatever you've got in your stash as well, and create as many different colour combinations as you like. So there we go, got the leaf there as well, so I'm thinking something like that. But let's get the last couple of elements we need for this card done, and then we can construct it all together. So that's my panel just put aside, ready, and I'm just going to stamp and emboss a quick sentiment. I found a little black circle of card in my scraps again that I've previously cut and not used for something else. So I'm going to stamp a sentiment on there in white embossing powder. This is our pure white Thirsty Brush Luminosity embossing powder. So it works great for white bits of card, black bits of card with white sentiments on, or metallic sentiments even. So just got a piece of copy of paper there to catch the excess powder. And I'm just grabbing my stamp set and heat tool and deciding which sentiment I want. So I think I'm going to go for the family sentiment on this card. It's a really nice time to be sending cards to family, and if you were around on one of my Create and Craft shows the other week, I pointed out to everybody that I've noticed Royal Mail in the UK have started to do online purchases of postage. So if you want to send some cards but you haven't got any stamps left at home and you're isolating, or maybe even your local post office is shut, you can't get any stamps, you can actually pay for postage online, and as long as you've got a printer at home, you just print a little bit of label onto normal paper and then sellotape it onto your envelope or package, and you can just pop it straight into your local post box, maybe when you're doing your little exercise walk each day. So it's a really great way of still being able to send those beautiful cards that you're making at this time. So I stamped with our Luminosity embossing ink and put that white powder on. Don't worry about that anti-static powder that's just making the black look a bit dull at the moment. That will just brush off after we've heat set the white powder. I'm also cutting a small circle of vellum, just slightly bigger than this black piece, just to sit behind, and then I'm just going in it with my heat tool and heat setting that beautiful white powder, and it melts really well and goes really shiny. See if I don't blow it away. So like you see there's just a bit of powder left, embossing anti-static powder, but it just brushes off and then your card goes back to normal pure black as before. So now I've got all the elements. I've got a small scrap of glitter card as well that kind of tones in. So it's just a case of now gluing and constructing everything together on a 5x7 card blank, and I'm going to use a combination of foam pads and wet glue to put all this together. So first of all, the holographic, or whatever you cut your back panel out in. So that outer die from the cover dies, the panels, I've made sure it's the perfect size to give you a millimetre or two on a standard 5x7 card blank, and then another millimetre or two around your panel die. So just to give a little bit of dimension, I'm using these foam pads, but you could just use some double-sided tape or wet glue here. So just pop that onto the card blank. This is going to give it some nice stability and a little bit of height. And there you can see that 1 or 2 mil border works perfectly. So next, our waves cover die in that beautiful pattern paper. So just some wet glue for this, I think, just deciding which way around I want it, either as a combo of the colours or which way I want the waves to show. But it works either way up in portrait or either way up in landscape, or you could even chop into the die cut once you've chosen your paper. Maybe even layer, that would look nice. So just some wet glue over the edge and then in little strategic parts in the middle, just to make sure it doesn't kind of bag during the middle of the paper. Not too much though, because I don't want it to bulge out and make marks on that lovely holographic behind. This is pin flare glue that I use with the bookbinding one. Any wet glue that dries clear, just in case you do get any squidge out from the sides, will work perfectly. And then just carefully position and press that onto your panelled background. So with that in place, it's just now a case of deciding where we want all the other elements to sit. So where you want your flower, your leaf, or whatever other bits that you've cut out of your paper. Definitely want to layer that sentiment onto the bit of vellum. So I'll just get that done out the way, and that can be setting and drying while I position the other bits. I've used some wet glue here, but you could use double-sided tape if you've got it to hand. But just with the wet glue and vellum, just make sure it's really pressed firmly, as it's a smoother surface to stick to. And then I've got this strip of a scrap of glitter as well, so I'm just thinking about how I want to position them. So this is something I get asked quite a lot, like how do you decide where things go on a card? Have you got a vision beforehand how you want it to look? So yeah, sometimes I have an idea in my head, sometimes I'll just play and cut out and see how it goes. But you'll notice as I'm hovering here, kind of deciding where all the elements go, it really isn't a case of everybody gets it right every time. Even me who makes cards every day, sometimes you get it wrong, or sometimes just before you're about to stick it down, or even after you decide it doesn't quite look as you wanted. But just keep playing, and this is the best way to do it when you've got no glue on anything and you can kind of decide what just looks nice to the eye. I certainly try, and when you're doing a card like this, of not just kind of plonk everything in the middle. Although there's nothing wrong with that, I just think sometimes it doesn't allow the eye to travel all the way through the card. So I really just have a play until I'm happy. So I think that's roughly how I'm going to go. I probably will need to do a bit of trimming of things off the edge of the card, but that's absolutely fine. So I've just removed everything apart from the next kind of layer, which is this glitter strip. And I'll trim off the excess of that now. Always trim any excess off from the reverse, so you've got the edge of the card to make a really clean cut. I've just gone back in and made sure that's really, really straight. Okay, so the next bit was the leaf. And worst case, if you really do stick something down, most of the time if you peel it off quick enough, you can normally save it and resurrect it. Even if you've got a bit of old dry glue then to cover up with something else where it's kind of torn off a bit. But never throw it in the bin, it's, you know, you can save it. Flower there, and then I'm just going to tuck the sentiment slightly behind those petals, and then we are nearly finished. So I'll hold everything firmly in place because I'm using wet glue just to make sure it's all stuck down. And hopefully it gives a really fresh, modern looking card just after trimming around those extra bits. I really hope you enjoyed this technique and this card. As I say, do like and subscribe if you want to watch more. There's plenty of other videos on the channel, so have a mooch and see what other videos that you'd like to watch. But this is a really, really easy card, and then I do videos on, you know, more colouring techniques and more complex cards as well, right through to the basics. So I hope you enjoy all the things that you can find on the channel, and there's also lots of my videos that I've done at the Stamps by Me studio as well, if you have a look in playlists. So when I travel up to the Tony Darroch studio, there's tons of videos in there too for inspiration, and of course her videos, which are also absolutely fantastic. So thanks for watching again, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you, if you are watching live or later on today, I will see you at Create and Craft on Saturday. If not, I'm sure I'll be back with another video, or scraps video tomorrow because it's Friday. Take care, guys, and have a great day. Do check out these other videos as well if you like card making and all sorts of other crafts. Thanks for watching.